Hello, welcome back. We are back for another Angelic Summit 2022, and I'm significantly shrunken. As you can see, we're in little boxes. The reason for that is we were setting up this beautiful presentation with my beautiful soul sister, my newest soul sister, I should say.
Ancient.
Right? Well, in this lifetime, right? Dame Reverend Dr. Sifu AmaLia Wai-Ching Li. Yes, that's what a queen's name sounds like. It's just this ginormous name, but I love it. And we're just going to call you Ama or AmaLia today. And everybody just welcome this beautiful Master of Light to this Guardians of Light conference. Thank you, AmaLia, for being here.
Oh, thank you, my little hug angel. Thank you for inviting me.
I want to share with everybody a little bit about who you are. I know you have this gorgeous presentation about the Asian angels and the dragons of light, all selected for us and queued up. So I'm not going to take too much time so we can get into this, and then I'll come back on the flip side and we'll unpack it a little bit on the other side of it. So everyone, I just want to say this. AmaLia is the founder of Infinity Quantum Qigong. She is a somatic movement therapist, a holistic nutritionist, an internationally recognized healer, speaker in many global conferences around the world. She's also an entrepreneur in energy medicine, biotechnology, biodynamic farming, holistic healing, spa, and culinary arts. She's a visionary mystic, an author, a creative healing artist, and an educator. And what I love is that what she does and what she brings forward is such, can I just say it, the Kuan Yin energy? I'll just say it. And when we first tapped in together, it took us about almost 8 hours, I think, or roughly that, to unpack all of the quantum elements that she is and I am and how they all converged and unpacked. And it was amazing and just unreal. We were both in shock a little bit, I think.
8 hours straight. 8 hours straight. We didn't even take a break.
I know. And sometimes that's what happens when the quantum collides and just all the data happens. So I want to just say thank you so much for being part of the summit and bringing your wisdom. And I really believe that we are going to step into a portal with you and really learn about the culture that is the Asian culture around the elements of the angelics and the dragons. And I'm excited to learn more myself. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you take it away. And then we will come back, like I said, and just answer any questions anybody might have and things of that nature. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, sweetheart. So I will bow out gracefully.
Right. And
anyway.
To start with, is everything okay? Okay. To start with, I mean, Stephanie was excited when I said, how about if I speak a little bit about Asian angels, because we are always so familiar with the angels that are some blonde-haired and blue-eyed and with wings, and maybe from the Christian aspect. And so when I was little, I did see beautiful luminous beings of light, around me, and there were orbs as well. And of course that we know the angels are just holographic images that is presented to us depending on our cultural, perspective, and also our paradigms, right? So they are actually just luminous beings and angels of light and messages from the divine, and they exist in all cultures. So they're just interdimensional beings that are really intermediaries between us human beings this time, because we are also embodied angels, and also with the other realms. So I thought it would be fun just to show some cultural aspects of angels in other countries. So please, introducing myself, and then we'll go on to that angels are messengers from God or the divine as helpers to humanity. So they act as protectors and guides for humans, celestial and intermediaries. And sometimes they're identified with bird wings and halos, right? Because of the extension of our auric field. You see, I said our, because I resonate with being an angel as well. And that happened in 1990 when my energies came together, and I started channeling AmaLia and channeling in light languages. So I will just come to that straight away. And from that day onwards, I was able to do a lot of healing work that was not, shall we say, uh, present before, but it was definitely inherent and latent. And that's what I also do, is to support people to come to their angelic essence and their abilities. So in embodied form, many of us are in uh, the forms of dancers, musicians, artists, healers, doctors, nurses, ethical business supporters, managers, CEOs, angel investors, and I've met quite a few. I also uh, take the people who are angelic beings in businesses through discovering their own generosity and love and light for humanity. And we're starting to change the paradigm shifts in businesses. And of course, there are visionary scientists and humanistic technologists. So it depends on how we are serving humanity, whether we are giving uh, value and precious information that takes our evolution forward, or sometimes we could take advantage of it. And of course, we know that angels, us, we are sometimes seen as extraterrestrials. So we are definitely extraterrestrial. Sometimes we're here, and it depends on where we come from, which star system. But we are here. And so let me start with this cultural aspects of China, the Chinese depictions of angels. And you can see that they're really beautiful with long flowing clothing or shawls. And these, of course, can be seen as wings and they are perceived as that. But usually they fly through the air with the clothes, gossamer veils, and likewise with the Japanese as well. So you can see here this is still Chinese to China, the Apsaras, the Feitian, and China. This is one a carving from a northern or eastern Wei dynasty, 500 to 506 AD. So you can see that flying figurines, the murals and sculptures, and they're often found in caves, so they're really ancient. And all these caves, they're usually accompanied with musical instruments. So you can see the Western angels also have the long pipes or horns, right? And so this one is a beautiful one from Danhuang, China. And so you can see the waving celestial clothes as if they were wings, enabling them to fly, and how the wind catches the wings. And so this is the Japanese, and it's called tenin, or heavenly person, which may include tenshi, a heavenly messenger, and then they're specifically male and female versions as well. And they're divine kind of spiritual beings. They're found in Japanese Buddhism, similar to the Western Valkyries, angels, nymphs, or fairies. And here we go on to Java and Bali. So they're called, based on Sanskrit, the Dedaris is just also known as Apsaris or the Vidodari, and the Sanskrit word is the Vidyadari, and it becomes Bidadari as well. It's equated with the Huri, the heavenly maiden mentioned in the Quran. So there are males and females, the Devatas and Devis as well. And you can see on the right the Apsara Borobudur in Java, and it's a flying celestial maiden depicted in bas-relief of the 9th century Borobudur Temple, Java, Indonesia. Beautiful place. I've been, and I also live in Bali. And then there are lots of dances, like Balinese dances with uh, winged veils as well. And in Cambodia, there are Khmer Apsara dancers, and when they're very still, they are the temple guardians. And so the temples, meaning the celestial temples. And then Angkor Wat as well, built in 1113, 1150. It features both Apsaras and the Devatas. And in the Persian culture, you can see also with the wings, and that's probably where the convergence happens in the, the Christian faith as well, when it was the Byzantine Empire when they came in the Middle East. And here it's a beautiful depiction. And let's see. So we see that the angels transcend all cultures, really, and they go through all cultures. And let's talk a little bit about the dragons. So the Chinese really see the dragons as dragon lines, and they are meridians that intersect the different parts of the earth, and they are also in the clouds. And so these lines, probably the matrix of light that is intersected from the stratosphere into the earth and into our bodies as meridians. So sometimes they're depicted as dragons, and they can be seen moving through the earth as lines as well through people who are visionaries. And this is the most wonderful presentation of dragon lines in England, in the UK, and these are crop circles. They are found in the on the earth, and they are beautiful depictions. If you take a look at them, they're beautiful lines, and they look like dragons dancing in the sky, and they're probably just messages from our celestial and extraterrestrial friends, brothers and sisters, and just showing us the secret of life and through the sacred geometry of the yin yang, and also the codes that are here in the what looks like a hexagram, right? So you can see all the movements in the earth. And we, once we are awakened to who we are as angels or celestial beings, I know many of us are called to go to the different areas of the world, to channel in, to bring in, to transmit, to amplify, to activate different parts of the world. So we are here together now, and we are activating as we remember more and more. And here we are, some lovely depictions of dragons. I know some of us actually see them in this form, and some of us see them in just light forms and weavings together. So more of these. I just thought they were so beautiful to share. And the one in the middle is taken by a friend of mine, Ken Ballard, and this is in Thailand. So as for me, I see them sometimes as gold and green, jade green strands, and sometimes just appearing with a little bit of that visage of the dragon. Very beautiful, and it's such a blessing and a familiarity when they come, because this is my protective dragon. And of course, in Asia, in Southeast Asia, in Bali, where I live, there's also the Garuda, and here you have very much the dragon that's in Myanmar, and they call Naga lines, Nagas. And they're, for example, in the Basake temple in Bali, there are three Nagas, one in black, one white, and one red in the cave. This is a place where a lot of tourists don't go to, but we go to, and I take people through Bali and Bhutan, and we do visit the different temples and caves. And so I hope you do come with me sometime. And of course, Bhutan is known as the land of the thunder dragon. And so it comes to my work where I'm presenting to you because I'm very much attracted to these kinds of depictions in my travels when I was a flight attendant as well from age 19. And it was, about the synchronicities and coincidences. And of course, I was asked to model for a Spa Odyssey magazine. And where did they put me? Right on top. This is the background. This is a Photoshop, and it was one of the Apsaras in Angkor Wat. And I do love the the sensation of dancing in these temples and remembering myself as a temple dancer. That's why I just love studying the dancing in Bali as well. So my own work is about healing and through movement and dance and supporting people and community and businesses. And of course, with us, with Stephanie, the light languages came through in 1990 in Singapore in a temple. It was a Buddhist temple, and there was a light that came through into my third eye and into my tongue. And that's when the gift of light languages or angel tones came through. And I came to the room and really transmitted those notes and those codes. And the people, there were about 30 or 40 who really felt the difference, change in the atmosphere and in their bodies. And of course, I use that in the healing work that we do. And of course, sometimes the soul songs come through and with sonic healing. So perhaps later on, we could do this tone with this crystal chalice with Stephanie. And I feel that there could be a transmission coming through for us all today. And we could do that. And of course, we work with the spiral. And this is in Colorado and this is in Bali. And I'm in Ecuador at the moment, just channeling in the ancient ruins of Pumapungo, Ingapirca, and all the Valdivian sites and so on. So here, let's see what comes up. Yes, more of these are temples. And we are ourselves, the chalices, the temples of divinity, aren't we? And so we will always reach to the sky and we channel in through our top knot, through the stupas and the temples coming into our bodies. And this is where we activate the angel genome. And when we activate all our true essence codes to remember who we are and why we came. Yes, more of this that is so beautiful. This was in Thailand. And of course, then this is a little bit of a pose, like a Balinese dancer. And I might say that this they are following the sacred geometry. And sometimes when the hands are fluttering like this, it is actually the energy flowing through. And we fly through the sky. And it's such a lovely memory when we do this. So this is angelic, and this is Chinese, and again, celestial beings, luminous beings flying through the sky. And these are some embodied angels. My friend Nikki King, who is a registered nurse, is also in real estate, and this is her niece Savannah, who is in the spa industry. So we are oftentimes in healthcare and spas and also businesses. So we can recognize each other really clearly through our kindness and sweetness and openness. And so this is in Arma Agung Rai Museum of Art in Bali. And here we are joining forces, the medical and the esoteric. So we have integrative medicine. I'm at the moment also speaking tomorrow at the Better Way conference in Bath. I'm online, of course, and this brings together some of the top scientists and doctors and journalists, activists, lawyers in the world to protect humanity. So if you'd like to join me in betterwayconference.org. And here we are just drawing in the energies through our intention and in our minds as we go through the movements of infinity quantum qigong. So when we practice qigong, we actually become the transmitter, connector, amplifier of celestial and terrestrial energies. So that's what qigong really is. And the movements, the one that I do is based on the infinity, is figure eight. And we know that life flows in spirals and figure eights. And this is Singapore and this too in Colorado. And of course, then when we are practicing with the male, female energies, we're balancing yin yang in ourselves, first of all. And then we come together with the polarities. And so if you'd like to contact me at any time, we have some free gifts on the website and of course through Stephanie at any time. And can just have a chat now about how we are going to be serving more on this planet, this lifetime, and moving forward in the future in this very interesting and challenging times. So let's see. Right there we are. We're back.
I'm back.
Right.
I didn't leave you hanging. I just needed a minute to figure out how to get back here. So here we are.
Oh, here we are.
So how did everybody enjoy that? That was fascinating. I love that journey. Thank you for that presentation, and all those visuals were very helpful as well. I want to see if anyone had any questions, because I always like to default to our angels in the room to see if anyone had anything.
I can't see any questions. If you can.
Yeah.
Did I mention that I'm in Ecuador, and so here is the Nahuales, the dragons, and they were so present in Pumapungo and Ingapirca. They were just like coming around, so beautiful.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love about AmaLia, she's kind of like me. She's a planetary guardian. She works all around the world, and she's always moving around depending where her energy leads her, and where she's required to anchor her network, as we call it, right? Because we always work with networks. It's never just us. We're just the instruments of, like, please be gentle. So yeah.
Well, actually here, arriving in Ecuador, Mother Mary is so present, because the very first place I went to was a place called La Guardiana de la Fe, the guardian of the angels. And she showed up as a blue and white light that night. And she's been guiding me through all the different churches and Quitos where there were milagros. So the miracles really happened here. And it's well documented in writing, as well as on the walls of all the different churches.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm staying on this line of dragon line straight down with 3 ruins straight down here. So
I want to ask your opinion. Like, I look at dragons, as these energy architects, right? And I know, like, the ley lines, as they call them, used to be called dragon lines, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And I kind of see these original dragon beings as kind of the ones that laid down for us to hold these grids, like to hold the planet. It's almost like they came in and laid them in to anchor, right, certain elements. But there's all these mythologies about, the dragons being put to sleep by the goddess, and depending on where you go in the world, there's different mythologies around that. But so what are you feeling now in terms of what the dragon energy is doing, in terms of maybe getting recalibrated, or are they rising into a different vibration? I call them the diamond dragons, right? The ones that are in the, I guess you would say, the Christ grid version of the planet. But what are your thoughts about the dragon energy right now and what's going on with it? Because there's been obviously a resurgence.
Well, because I feel that the dragon lines, right, they were actually lines of light that is intersecting with the earth and through the matrix or through the web. But some parts of them were broken, perhaps through war. They were here as harmonizing agents. That's what's holding the substance of the earth, the spiritual substance of the earth together in harmony, perhaps in battlefields or different places. They were broken, and we are here to mend them, and we are here to work with them, to mend, to weave them back together. And the places where there were like too much intensity of a dark, we are meant to lighten them up and maybe free them as well. That means we're freeing the entangled ley lines, right? We're just romantically calling them dragons. But that's what it is. They're just more light lines. Yes.
Yeah.
So now I feel that we are here to reweave back that intelligence, that beauty, that luminous beings that were here to help us all.
It's fascinating you mentioned the harmonics, because that's where you and I meet up in a lot of ways, is we're harmonizers, right? We harmonize spaces and places, and it's that biotech consciousness we also have. We get a little nerdy with all that, but the beauty of this working, with the dragon energy especially, and I even have a dragon I want to show you. I brought in for this occasion. It's a rainbow terahertz dragon.
Beautiful.
and terahertz I love to work with. This is Titan because it's coated in titanium, so it's a titanium holding the masculine. And what's interesting about this
For
one
me,
is,
I would be like, this is titanium too.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly. So we're on the same
imagine,
wavelength. Are we surprised? Not
oh my
really.
goodness, no, 8 hours of conversation and the
We're even
experience.
wearing purple for
But
the
it is
occasion,
like
right?
the chalice, right? The feminine, the womb, and then there you have the dragon. And of course,
Mhm.
you know what's really lovely too is the dragon appearing with the phoenix. You know, and that happened to me in a church with our Native American friends, and I was invited to marry a couple which I didn't know about. It was a surprise to me when I got there, and they said they put me in the seat next to my teacher, who was Kingfisher, and I thought this was really something different today, and then it was a wedding, and during that time, the dragon and the phoenix rose from the fire. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's interesting. You mentioned the Phoenix because I wrote a book called Soul Scars Rising Phoenix, and because I'm a Scorpio, the Phoenix is one of those archetypes in the sign. But what's interesting is before the dragons started coming to me, and Archangel Michael was the one that introduced me to them. The Phoenix, the Diamond Phoenix, specifically came to me and was showing me this prismatic nature of us, and so it was kind of all the diamond light coming in, right?
Right.
And so my feeling though, what was interesting also that came up, I wanted to ask you, how does the Great Wall in China,
Ah,
having how is that connected? I feel like there's a connection there somehow with the dragon energies or something.
yes, you know the Chinese, especially Shi Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor who built the Great Wall. He was a great mystic and
Mm,
alchemist. Whether it's like misguided or not, he believed that Mercury would extend his life, you know. But and he in his tomb right now, they have done radioactive tests around it, and it's high. It's super high with mercury. It's radioactive. That's why they haven't gone in there. So he's got rivers of mercury, right,
interesting.
running through that. And they're all, it's all based on sacred geometry, of course, many of the temples and burial sites and caves as well. So the Great Wall was indeed, uh, if it was calculated according to the stars and the moon, and it's apparently the only man made structure, edifice that can be seen from the moon.
Mm, yeah,
Mm. So you know how very clever they were in the
yeah,
past, you know, how they can designate the areas and buildings and according to the stars, and also allowing the sunlight to come through certain buildings, you know, that would hit the deity just right on the third eye. So definitely that.
I
Hmm.
love that film. Did you see that film, that animated film with the last dragon? I think it's like Raya or Aja or something like that, the last dragon. It's a Disney film. It was so beautiful though, and how they portrayed these dragons like just flying through the air, and it was all took place in Asia. I don't know if you've seen it. I just that came to mind too. My
Oh,
angels bring me the most random things, as you know. So
yeah, and that would just bring it. And that reminds me of the time when I had during qigong class in San Anselmo Park in California, in Marin County, where I thought I did see dragons, but they were just weaving of light and they were shifting sacred geometry. They were flying and they were coming together until they interspersed into my body. And,
mhm,
you know,
mhm,
I was just thrown back and then my spine just started undulating like dragons, right?
mhm,
So it was just like a dragon. And my qigong that I teach is very dragon-like. It's very like serpent like this. And we work a lot with the spine because then the cerebral spinal fluids can flow up the spine. And as they say, you're as young as the spine. So we want to keep the spine flexible and it
yeah,
goes up. So, you know, it's very serpentine, and we are serpentine as we mold, you know, and then if we are truly in our power with the kundalini power, we are actually, our spine is very very flexible, very
yeah,
loose. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so that was definitely it. And you mentioned Archangel Michael. He appeared to me in 1990 with Kuan Yin, and again, I honestly, before I was not really someone who would um, you know, just maybe so religious that
Mhm.
I would think of all these icons, but when they appeared, I thought, what a unlikely couple, you know, that came out. So it was
That's
so interesting. It was so interesting, and they both took me through the demon realms.
mm.
I saw that, and there was blue light coming up, and then when I reached to the top of my beingness, it was just pure bliss and pure light. And what they did was really gifted me to work with the lower realms, which I started doing then.
Yeah, shadow walking or working in those realms is definitely a noble path. And sometimes people are like, not for me. I tap out, and I get that. Because some people are extremely energetically aware, and it's just too much for them. It's interesting. Michael came in and told me the reason that my third eye isn't fully on. There's a few reasons, but one of them is so that I can go into some spaces that have a lot of density, and I'm
Mm,
not hit with all the visuals. I'm not hit with all the stuff that's going to try to come in and like get me out of there, so I can just go in and be like, I'm here. And
right.
so it's interesting, because I resonate with what you're saying is sometimes we do have to go into the darkest zones in the planet to clear.
Yeah,
And it's been an interesting process to have to transmute and transform and harmonize all of those energetics fully blinded from seeing what I'm doing. I just have to go through the faith frequency, right? So I
right.
know that everybody has their different way of doing it. So when you're working with people and you sense something is up, right? There's something in their system. I was I was sharing this with somebody in our social lounge last night, giving some guidance that if somebody says, like, I have an entity or something, they come to you like, I think I have an entity. Do you feel that it's better to mitigate that first and foremost by not A, claiming that, but B, also even labeling it that to kind of lessen the intensity in the system, right? And then what would be an advantage of, let's say, working with dragon energy or the type of energy you work with to reduce or release something of that belief or structure? What would you
Yeah.
recommend?
Excellent question, you know. Basically, I just work with light,
Hmm.
right? Shades of light. They come in and light of the highest. Of course, you know, we do our protective shields. It's called Wai-Ching in Qigong. And then we do the protective shields and we bring that through to the people. And I don't really want to always subscribe to a demon or an entity, you know. And I just ask, first of all, listen very closely to that person. And it could be just a being that's wanting to be in touch. And we usually go through a question answer kind
Yeah,
of a reflection. You know, who it might it be? What might it be? What's the message? What's the benefit? Is it some here to be of good? I always bring up the good first, and then we just go delve deeper and deeper. Because as much as I like to say that there are no dark forces, you and I both know there are,
hmm,
and I am. I was in a front cover of a newspaper, and it's called Madam Glam Ghostbuster, and real estate agents, uh, uh, hotel owners, developers, spa owners, hospital clinics, they do hire me in factories to clear energies, and lo and behold, it clears. So I like to just take it very easy, very gently, bringing the light, protective shield first, so that we don't call and evoke anything
right.
else that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's interesting. I also tell people, sometimes there's an element that is an element of you, right? It's like it might just be a different dimensional version of you coming in that's going through grief or going through sadness and it feels draining, but it doesn't necessarily have ill will because it's an aspect of you or a part of you somehow, right? Part of your network, as I call it. And it's about
exactly.
integration, perhaps, compassion, forgiveness. And I think sometimes people they're like, we got to get rid of it, and just like destroy
Mm,
it. And it's like, no, you hold your space, like you're saying, with the light.
yeah.
And then we, like you're saying, have that kind of conversation to see what is to be learned here,
If
really.
we dismiss it, I think we miss the gem, the jewel of
Yeah.
learning the dark shadow, the dark side, the shadow work. of us. What is it in us that we attracted this?
Yeah.
And not this lifetime, perhaps other lifetimes that we have to clear.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the purification process, the cleansing and
Absolutely.
highlighting. So I try not to bring fear into it. It's just like making it very, very natural. Actually, there was a 12-year-old who was seeing beings, through the window and at night, and she would always sleep with her lights on.
Mhm.
And we did the process and really journey, and she got friends with all of them. That actually more came to her because she had a special gift, and they were coming out of the swimming pool and so on, and she just went out and played with them. So, and she slept with the lights off. So, work done.
Yeah, I find it's interesting now with all the children coming in too, and they see so much more, and they're trying to explain what they're seeing, and there's just because we're opening up all these new dimensions, right? I mean, meaning they were always there. We're just opening up our perception really to them, in my opinion, right? And anchoring more of that in, so we are experiencing it more firsthand now than ever before, especially for the children. Um, what I want to know is in your work, the qigong, right? I mean, it's such a powerful work. I've done qigong a little bit here and there, not with you, which I would love to do that, but how can that benefit people from a standpoint of kids that might be a little bit more hyperactive and they're really running these dragon currents, right? They're running these energies much more so. Do you have any benefits to tell parents that might be watching, as far as how to get their kids maybe into that type of practice earlier on? I know a lot of parents might teach a meditation, but I think qigong could be really beneficial for some of these children, especially if they're on the spectrum of any kind, right? Don't you think?
I so agree because qigong is about embodiment. So
Mhm.
it's not just inward, but we really take it out into the world, and it's meditation and movement, which is so suitable for people who can't sit still,
Mhm.
right? So and qigong can go from the very subtle, and it can go to very dynamic, can go to martial arts. So I hope that people, maybe as a gift, we can also invite people to watch the Quantum Chi movie. Dot
Mhm.
com, yes, and they're the trailers. So we have already two episodes, and we'll work one with children and healing, and one with scientists who practice qigong, right, as energy cultivation.
Wow,
And so they
beautiful.
and also in opening psychic abilities, but in a grounded way. We don't want it to go into something what we call jiao fo yak mo, which means that's running fire and then the demons come in. That means it's too much. Then you know that with Kundalini practice, you can burn off your wiring as well.
Yeah.
That's when people get very tired, or
Yep.
they see too much, or they hear too much. That's what is important. It has to be very balanced. So for children, let's say with those kind of conditions, we don't put labels, that I think it would be very, very good. Oh, I know, so because I've done that to work
Yeah.
with them and with older people too. So yeah.
Yeah, I know in my awakening process when I first started connecting in, I wasn't aware that I was connecting into the seraphim aspect of myself, and of course seraphim and dragons are similar energy, but we could talk about that in a second. But what's interesting is you're right. I was running so much energy. I was like sweating and like violet lighting and all of it, and I was just I'm a Scorpio, so I'm kind of like let's go big, and I just do it. I don't really have fear about it, so I just like let's do this. And I burned out my wiring a little bit in the beginning stages. I would
Happened.
be like on the floor, unable to walk, sciatica totally activated, like really bad. And
Absolutely.
eventually I learned how to generate, harmony to not do that anymore, right? That's what I
Right.
teach a little bit so that people don't do that as well. Yeah. It can
Yeah.
be intense.
Intense. So
Mhm.
how long did that last? What did you do?
Um, well, part of my activation was actually a car accident. And so it threw my whole system out. That was the first kind of way to try to stuff my light. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And then over time, I had injury to overcome. But then when I went through really connecting to the angels and started getting that going, it took about, I'd say, a good 5 years for me to
Mhm.
work through all the process of the angelic to the archangelic to the seraphim. And so during that, there was all these recalibrations. And
Mhm.
it just, yeah, it took its toll on the body. It definitely wasn't fun because I didn't have anybody like yourself or somebody to guide me. I didn't have guidance, frankly.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know anybody.
Family also. I had my
Yeah.
family who mystical family, I could ask, and some friends. But you know what really helped was that it took me, at that time, I had a voice that would tell me that I would learn love through cancer if I
Mhm.
didn't change. And so I was wondering what that meant, changing. So I just followed my intuition. I took like 6 months and cleared my body, mostly very light foods. And I did all the right things, like all the body practices, meditation, writing, dancing, like just taking time out, 6 months. And then the energies came through. And luckily, it's something I did much was right because my body was able, it was strong. I was 33 and I was able to handle the energy. So it went, and it happened many times. So I believe the Council of Light, I call them, like you, they stepped down my calibrated what I was receiving. And also I took time out. Like right now, it's like just too much. I really need time out also, and to detox. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I found I had to make adjustments to diet. I had to make adjustments to certain amounts of, how much I would bring through, and as you know, like when we bring in the heat, when we pack in the heat, it can be a lot, and that's why I work mostly in groups now, because if I'm going to light myself up, it's just more efficient and better for my body to just at least activate many at once versus the one-on-ones as much. But I do feel that, yeah, we're starting to to get acclimated better, right? Everybody is starting to figure out how to integrate and acclimate, and learning how this holistic system works via different teachers like yourself and myself and others. And that's the really beautiful thing, is that there's so many paths to this embodiment of light. And that's really what Angelic Summit's about, is whatever path feels more in alignment for you. But I want to say this to those of you who have been kind of, I don't want to say treating your body like the enemy of your state, but I would just say maybe some people have resentment of that they're in a body at all, because they're just like, I don't want to be in a body, because they're just so high vibrational. Or you've just been struggling with your body, and making peace with your body
mm,
is part of this inner conflict that we're clearing this weekend. Is the idea of like, how do we come to peace with our own body when we're in these instruments that feel restrictive to what we really are, right? And
right,
what would be something you could recommend for that? Because I know many understand what I'm saying, that they just, they can't seem to figure it out for themselves.
right. At this time, I really feel like it's just stillness and
Mm-hmm.
meditation and be in nature. Because
Mm-hmm.
then, we are nature. For those of us celestial beings who are we are on Earth now, we have to ground ourselves, as we know, to the 7.83 or whatever shiftings are coming in with the solar flares and the shifts. And the best thing is like to go out to nature. Really, the best friend is really to sit on the grass, whatever, sports or dance or just be. I feel that's the quickest way, and be quiet, not like just go out and play frisbee or whatever, a picnic, but really time that is really dedicated to just being oneself and one nature, and knowing that we are here for a purpose, especially this times, right? And
Yes.
that we have to speak our truth, but with heart, and we have to balance our thyroid really well so that we don't have issues, and then not overdo things also, which I've been doing because now I'm actually on the other on the conference at the same time. So
Mm-hmm. We
self
have some questions, by the way. Can we get to the questions? I
care.
just noticed.
Oh, okay.
I
All
don't
right,
mean
let's
to
go
cut you
for
off.
it.
I'm just like, oh, we have questions.
Okay.
I'm like hearing this dinging. I'm like, is that her telegram, or is it?
Oh,
No, I think it might have
oh,
been the questions.
okay.
Okay, so Lisa asks, can you speak to
Huh?
Kuan Yin a bit?
Okay. So Kuan Yin is also an embodiment. It's like our projection, right, of a feminine figure. But actually, Kuan Yin was supposed to be a balance, such a perfect balance of yin and yang that she is androgynous, right? And it's Avalokiteshvara is the the deity in the Tibetan path that is supposed to bring in this quality of mercy and compassion of Kuan Yin. And as Tibetan Buddhism traveled to China, it merged with the myth or story of a princess who was, I found, no doubt, quite a mystic and was able to have the God-given gifts, and was elevated to being a goddess. So there was a Kuan Yin, and then she became canon in Japan. So that is like the story, the myth of Kuan Yin. And if you can see, I don't know if you can. Ooh, let's see.
Hmm.
Can you see the etching of
Yeah,
Kuan Yin?
yeah, a little bit, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so she recognizes that, again with the flowing robes on a lotus.
Hmm.
And the flowing robes means that she can just fly off to the sky. And this is very much the fashion of the time of the Tang Dynasty, because they had long sleeves and they were dancers. And also, very interestingly enough, they would throw their sleeve forward, and that becomes a martial
Right.
weapon. Or
Yeah.
they can whip the people around as well. So
Excellent.
it's now Kuan Yin is now the feminine embodiment, and we link her, let's say, with Mother Mary and
Hmm.
Meg too,
Right.
synonymous. Mhm.
Lisa, thank you for your question. Um, okay, so Tara,
Mm.
she asks, I'm interested in hearing how Kuan Yin and Mother Mary and Magdalene work together. So
Oh
there's
yeah,
that. So
yeah. I
you
just
just started
mentioned.
that answer, so let's continue
Um,
that a little bit.
I have to tell you, when I lived in San Francisco, there was a circle of women, and we came together, and we had special resonances. Kuan Yin, obviously. I mean, by the way, I was. I feel safe telling it, like, to all of you. I was actually recognized as an emanation of Kuan Yin by monks in Singapore, right? And there are many of us. We are embodying different. Even Mother Mary, to me, in my Christian side, and Mary Magdalene. Um, we came together, these women, and one woman actually was asked to go to I think it was more like a monastery in New York, when she went to her mother's funeral. And this is Elizabeth Kelly. And when she went there to visit the monastery where she was invited to, she was given a set of robes. And it was a Mary Magdalene monastery, and it was just men, and she was just by herself. So she represented Mary Magdalene. And then there was Raylene, who had a visual with Mother Mary. One day, she she saw a, like a Italianate building off the freeway, and she went in there, and she was just guided to clear the bramble in the courtyard. And right below there was a statue of Mother Mary, and this is Raylene Valtry. And so we came together, and there was Sabrina who sang, and all of us, and we just brought the different aspects of the feminine in. And this was really beautiful memories for me with all these women. And
Oh.
I love gathering with you and everybody on the Angelic Summit. Mm.
Well, thank you for answering that. And I want to see who else here has questions. Hold on a second. Let me just, okay, that's answered. So Tara also asked, also 21 Taras and Divas angels. So I
Mm.
think she wanted to ask about that.
Well, the 21 Taras is the Tibetan path. There's so many, and they represent different, the white Tara, green Tara, and red Tara, and some 21 Taras. You can just call them in. They are just different aspects of the feminine.
Yeah,
One is the same, right? And what was it? Tara and what else?
the Divas.
The divas, yes. Tara, supposedly, right? Supposedly, Taras are more goddesses. They are higher than the divas. Divas are more like the angels,
Mm.
right? Intermediaries, right? And so we have different hierarchies. Even Rudolf Steiner speaks of hierarchies of beings. And then you have the divas that are nature spirits as well, or water spirits. So they're just different hierarchies, just like I think we have different hierarchies and different work, and we have different mandates.
I
Yeah.
kind of see it as there's certain frequencies and energies that are governed differently and have certain intentions that are more refined, like more, it's almost like drilling down into more specific elements of source. So it's like it
Mhm.
all has its beautiful, just kind of like you would see, you know, different species in the ocean, you know, on the planet. There's different elements, you know, in all those realms that are also governing and commingling and doing different levels of conscious creation and co-creation with us. So I just, that's how I see it, at least.
I
And
do
we can
too.
get very specific because everyone's experiences of co-creation, depending on the region, the culture, they all have different names for kind of the same element of consciousness in a sense, right? And so that's
Mhm.
what I find so fascinating about it
Yeah,
is you know, these
I did
cultures
believe
developed away
I
from each other and yet had similar constructs that we can say, oh, there's some connection there, which kind of goes to show you, maybe there is something in the unseen world, you know, that is actually happening.
Yeah, it
One of
was
the
just for
things,
fun that I brought in the cultural aspect because I thought it would be just fun to just
yeah,
show some beauty of the different cultures. But I mean, seeing energies in Western in Europe or in South America now or elsewhere, they just come like in energy forms, right?
mhm,
And the messages come in a much more rarefied way. But of course, sometimes oh, the beauty is stunning. I mean, there was once when I saw the goddess in Kanjeng Ratu Kidul, which is the goddess of the sea
mhm,
in Bali, and that was really quite tangible. Yeah, she was just in green and floating up above the water. So it was pretty amazing.
yeah,
So yeah, so we all have different experiences and different perceptions, and some of us, for example, like the darker energies, you have declared it, and so have I. I do not want to see them because I'm so visual
mhm,
that unless it's really necessary, that's in some clearing in the homes or dark places. If it's necessary, then I'll see them. If not,
right.
not then.
Yeah, I kind of see myself as just an usher into the higher light, that I just set that as my parameter wherever I go, that if you want to come at me in the shade, just know that we're going to usher you into the councils to see how you want to be organized, right? We
Oh yeah,
organize the
yeah, yeah.
mission.
I've done
So
some
I don't
really
do it.
serious
I
work.
just serve as like the elevator up. That's how I
Yeah,
look at it.
did some
Just
really
easier.
serious ones. And actually, the little bit of training over the years was done. This one was done by a Kahuna Hawaiian.
Mm,
So we have all the different teachers, and we have students. We just share our work, we share our stories, and if it helps someone, then we have done our work. I
yeah.
believe, right?
And
Yeah,
everyone has a different purpose. For some, their job really is to work with those elements. You know, everyone has a different purpose of what they came in to do and what they're here to amplify or teach or harmonize or what have you. So, and they're all noble paths. It's just a matter of what is your soul calling. And there's no one better or worse. We are required to do what we came in specifically, uniquely to do. And that's what we're
yeah.
doing, hopefully. I mean, most people are at least in the summit, I would think, somewhat on their path of purpose, right? And maybe some are really curious and looking to see if this is something that could open them up to a different path. And it's all beautiful.
This is
I want to
important.
say,
What you just said. What you just said is important. If I want to address that.
yeah, yeah,
Some people are not called to battle the dark, and
right,
they want to, though. They want to. And because it seems glamorous or, it's exciting, don't. So that's my advice to them. If you're not truly called, because if you're truly called, you will have no fear, right?
yeah,
And you will go in, and it's a very clear signal. Because, like for me, it runs in my family. So some of my family members have cleared a lot of the souls back home. So it became easy to me. But I've also noticed some students, they want to do that. And I said, it's not your calling. Don't do
yeah.
it. It's the ego speaking. So don't, you're meant to be an artist, right? And so,
It's funny you said that. I had one of my Halo members asked me this the other day, you know, about teaching the angelic dream keys, and I said to her, "Listen, you're going to know if this is your calling, because it's a big one. It's not, you know, for the faint of heart. I like to say sometimes, or the faint of light. It's a big one to be an initiatrix or initiator of that, and it's a lot of accountability and responsibility. So for me, it's like you're compelled to these things. It's not even like an option almost. It is, because we're all free will beings, but
Yeah.
you're just so impassioned by it that you have to, right? And at the same time, it's a lot of responsibility. So I always say you're right. You know, just because we see other people doing it, like, oh, that looks cool, I want to do that. It's not necessarily all it's shined up to be. You know,
So,
um, one of
and
the
a
things
lot
I
of
want to
people, while
answer.
we were talking, like just that, those who do that, you can see the difference later. They get hurt, they get heart attacks, or they get, sometimes enamored, about what's going on. They keep telling their stories. They get caught up in the psychic aspects rather than to move along to a real, true spiritual growth and
Yeah,
service.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I
that's
mean,
what
I say sometimes, honestly, the path that I've gone through, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy to get to where I am now. I mean, it was intense at times, and there were
mm,
times I wished for death. I was in so much pain. I mean, it was not an easy path to become this type of instrument that I am now. It's worth it. I'm here. I'm glad I'm here. But I mean, there's also a possibility I wouldn't be here. I mean, that's how intense it was. It's a gauntlet. And people tell me, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. I said, you got to earn it. I had to earn it. I had to
people
go through
learn.
stages of integration and all sorts of stuff and lessons and ego integration. And it's a process, you know, it's not an instant pudding, right?
Right.
Um, I want to say this. Lisa asked, do you teach the Qigong online? And I know there's a free gift for VIP members, that there's a complimentary session with you, I think, right? So
Mhm.
that's going to be fun for them. But I'm guessing you have programs and things on your website, which we're going to put here for them to explore as well, right?
Yes, I'm actually putting together a curriculum for lay people as well as medical doctors and nurses. That's where I'm going because my work is in integrated health
Yeah,
and working with, conditions supposedly serious like cancer and for these times as well, which
yeah,
may be supposedly life-threatening. I say that
yeah,
because we are all different labels, right?
right.
We also want to help them return to the light, those who have decided to go, to show us, and we want to be of gratitude to them for showing us where there are imbalances in any of our healthcare system, government systems,
Hmm.
media systems, finance systems. So there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
And yes, I do teach qigong in different ways. There can be private, long distance groups, and yeah, so
Awesome.
just get in touch with me. That's the best way.
And our
I'm
last question,
personalized.
we're gonna take one last question, then we're gonna do our little sound bowl alchemy, you know, briefly thing, whatever we're gonna do. We're gonna bring something in. But before we do that, Tara just had one more question. What do you recommend for thyroid health? Because I
Uh-huh.
know this is a thing for women. I know a lot of us are getting hit here. Obviously, with the radiations coming in on the planet as they did this last week, especially was fierce. What are your recommendations?
Oh, you know what? This is interesting that you for the thyroid. I'm actually wearing this. This you can
Oh yeah.
recognize it's a Flower Life, but this is done. I work with this company very closely. Lovely angels, right? Male angels, beautiful. Rick and RJ Hassler. They created this, and it has 6 USA patents. If you want scientific, grounding of it, but it works. It really works. And let me see. And the thyroid here, it protects. We need to protect ourselves from the radiation. I've not met one qigong teacher who can actually overcome that. So it's important. I'm wearing this, and putting this in my Tantien,
Mm-hmm.
right, my navel area, and this is
Mm-hmm.
based on the Tesla coil, which is based on the Fibonacci
Mm-hmm.
369 golden mean calculations, and you can see that's the USA pattern number. So it really works, and this is also amazing in structuring water. If I just put it here, it changes. So without even contact with the water, it changes the molecules, so it's more absorbable into
Awesome.
the body. I know it's really awesome. Another what awesome thing is that you can shine your crystals with it. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Right,
Just
align them, yeah.
so there are tools that we can use, right? So this is what I'm using too because of the radiation which is getting to me here,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a really high, super fast fiber
I
optic
know.
am right
This
now.
last week, oof, yeah.
That's why.
Um,
And then food, of course, food,
mm,
meditation, and balancing the adrenal glands and the thyroid, and doing the qigong, the infinity orbit, I call it, and it's on my website. Everybody's welcome to just access that and as
yeah, I
well.
put the link for that for sure. And
Thank
I
you.
think what we can do is I'll get with you and find out this other tech you're talking about, maybe put it in the Angelhead. So for those who go into the angelhead.com, we'll have some information there on this, because that sounds fascinating. I'd love to learn more about
Yeah,
it.
of course, I don't want to make it like it's funny commercial, but since
Yeah,
you asked about the thyroid, here
yeah.
it is. Yeah,
No, I get it. I get
yeah,
it. I just know that the links here will only be for so many people, so I'd love to open that up, to more people.
please. The more, the better. The more really need people to know about these new. They are I call them angelic technologies.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
work with I work with different ones too. Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
they're here to for the benefit of humanity, and so yeah, we have to.
So, what are your thoughts on this? Since we're bringing up the thyroid, I think thyroid also represents to me like speaking our truth, feeling like something has us in a stranglehold. Especially it's the feminine, the sacred feminine rising, and the sovereign feminine. Really, the importance of us speaking now in the world of being heard. I know I've had clients saying they feel like they're processing this whole idea of being heard. So maybe that's something we can look at in this next experience really quick that we're going to do with the crystal bowl and you. If you want me to join in, I'm happy to. I can also leave it to you. Whatever you feel.
The stronger the better, and everybody else who's watching, just chime in.
Yeah.
It, just
I
sing
call
in
them
what
like let your
you mean.
tones, right?
Yeah, whatever it is coming through, just even for a short while. And we want to send this out to the other conference. It's called Better Way Conference. It's in Bath in UK at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this was exactly what we were talking about just before I came on with you. There was the media and journalists conference, that conversation about ethical journalism and in the media at this time. Yes, and the kind of information and disinformation that's
Yeah.
being, and the journalists were just speaking. Del Bigtree being one of them, was just speaking out, and Dr. Tess Lowry of World Council of Health. So I see them as also embodied angels. They are amazing, and they're just fiery. They have their sword.
I know.
Yeah, the archangels are just going through that. So we come together. That's like convert. So are we ready?
I'm ready. Yes.
Okay. Let me see. Let me get a little Kuan Yin here. So Tara and Lisa, you are so present here. Do join us. So whatever is coming through and through our throats, and let's just ask specifically if a healing of thyroid and communication and expression. This is a 432. Calling in Kuan Yin, Tara, the divine feminine and masculine. And allowing the tones and vibrations to heal our thyroid and throat chakra center. Middle Tantien, the heart. Allowing the soul songs and angel tones to come through for all of us. Sending
I'm
out.
having a hard time hearing you, love. I'd love to hear you a little bit louder if you can. Like your voice.
Yeah, right behind it.
Yeah.
Just sending out the tones to our bodies, our cells, to our DNA, to our family, friends, and to community and to the planet, to whoever would benefit from this light. Sanatu Deva
Love sleeping.
Still going. Still there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And I just want to say, I know for some, the sound bowl might feel like this subtle energy, right? But there was a lot of power there. And I know what we were reading. What was interesting is as we started, I kept doing this like rapidly through my fingers. It was interesting. I just kept moving the energies through my fingers. So I know we were recoding some things because that's usually, I end up doing all this weird
mudras.
kind of
The
stuff.
mudras were coming through. This one was
Yeah, all the different mudra stuff. I have kind of my own versions of it, but
yeah, we all do, right? Some of them are like really interesting.
yeah. Thank
Oh,
you,
what a
everyone.
delight, Stephanie, to be with you and with all the other angels. Oh, we got little hearts.
So many.
Do you know this one? That's what the Korean girls do. They do. Do you know this one? It's like a
Mm-mm.
heart, like that.
Like this.
Yeah, they're like little hearts, and they
Mm.
look so cute. They're like little angels.
So cute.
They're adorable. These little Korean young girls. It's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really sweet. Thank you for letting me be here and sharing and being with everybody. Yeah, it's so
I love sharing your heart with the world, and it makes my heart sing to have you. So
cute.
thank you for going a little over with us. I know we got a little late start anyway, so it worked out perfectly. And thank you all for sharing the hearts and sharing your love and your questions. We love questions because we can get the answers easier when we got the questions. I call it Q and Angels because they like the query and they give us the angels. So an angel angle, right?
Yeah, stay in
So,
touch, everyone. Welcome to yeah.
yeah. So if you'd like to head in the lounge after our chat, VIPs, you're welcome to do that. And AmaLia, I invite you to go meet some of them in face-to-face if you'd like, if you have time. Otherwise, I will bring you into hopefully another summit or workshop. We'll do something else together in the future. I'd love to do that.
That
And
would
it's
be
been such a
delightful.
pleasure.
Yes, indeed.
Sure. All right. Well, love you. And everyone, I put her link here, and you should have that already, but I'm going to just put it one more time. It is AmaLia Wai-Ching of course, because she's a planetary guardian like myself.
Good angel.
And the link is also up for our YouTube guests. So thank you, everyone. I will see you back here in just a little bit with Kimberly Meredith at 2:30 Pacific. And AmaLia, I send you with blessings, heart to heart, big hugs. Love you. Love you, sweetheart.
Love you.
Thank you. Much
Another
love.
8-hour conversation after this.
I know, right? We'll do some more work. All right. Love you. See you soon. Bye for now.
I'll hop on to the other one now.
Yeah. Hop on.
Okay.
See you